Loudoun School District covers up multiple rapes by a boy who likes to wear skirts in the girls' bathrooms. According to progressive educrats, it's far better to condemn little girls to forced sodomy and rape than it is to report a heinous crime that might challenge LGBTQ talking points. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting potential classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today's show is sponsored by Mike Lindell and our friends at MyPillow. MyPillow is always offering great deals, and this week they're offering their iconic classic pillow, the one that launched the empire, for just $30. All you have to do is use the code Dr. Duke, that's D-R-D-U-K-E. Visit mypillow.com and you will save up to 66%. It's a lot of scratch on all other bed-related items as well. Again, that's D-R-D-U-K-E for the code. All right, if you're watching us on social media, please hit the share button and let's dive in. Today, we start in Loudoun County, Virginia, with a blockbuster story the mainstream media just doesn't want to cover. A father blew the whistle on the district covering up the alleged sexual assault of his daughter in the girls' bathroom by a boy wearing a skirt. Now, this didn't happen apparently once, but multiple times, and when they removed him from that school and transferred him rather than, reporting him to the police, he apparently did it again, Katie.
So we need to take some time on this story, and we're going to take time because it deserves the time being taken. Because Mom and Dad, you need to realize that if this can happen in one school, it can happen in multiple schools, and probably has happened in multiple schools. And of course, it's going to happen in Loudoun County, Virginia, because this is the epicenter of absolute stupidity and malfeasance on behalf of a school district. And so we're going to take the time here to kind of break down this entire story. But the headline is, a high school girl was raped in the bathroom by a boy who was wearing a skirt, and the Loudoun County School District did not report it.
Twice.
In the headline. And it wasn't the same girl, but twice this boy allegedly also sexually assaulted another female later on after this had happened to the one girl that we're going to specifically talk about.
And so when it happened the first time, they simply transferred him to another school in the district, and he did it again. And what's really remarkably disturbing about this kid did not even identify as being transgender, right? He was not transgender. He considered himself a boy and fully male, but he liked to wear skirts. So just because this boy decided that he wanted to wear skirts, he wandered into girls' bathrooms and apparently got away with that until he raped people.
Yes. And so the incident in question happened on May 28th, and we don't know the girl's name, the victim's name, but she was a 9th grader, and her dad is named Scott Smith. And you may remember that name because not even a month later, he was at the Loudoun County School Board meeting. And at that meeting, he was arrested. Let's take a look at that clip, and then we'll explain more.
You are who you are. You cannot change that.
So he was arrested after the entire thing was deemed an unlawful assembly because they were basically vocally opposing transgender students' rights as the topic came up. And what happened is someone made the comment to him about how no transgender student is doing anything wrong or harming anyone. And that basically, if you knew what happened to Dad's daughter, you would be like rightfully so as to his actions, as to what happened.
And what's most fully galling about this is that the school went out of its way to not let anybody think that transgender people ever did anything wrong, right? What their biggest concern was is that this is going to hurt the reputation of transgender kids. It's going to make it harder for places like Loudoun County Public Schools to allow boys who think they're girls into the shower rooms and the locker rooms, which they've already decided to go ahead and do. In other words, this was a cover-up. They're going to let a 9th grade, a freshman girl, be raped rather than report that to the police because they don't want to cast any aspersions on the trans lifestyle. This is a staggering development, and it shows you just how far liberal progressives will go to defend their ideology from truth and from consequences if they think they're going to lose one iota of ground in the culture wars.
So on the day it happened, May 28th, Dad, who you just saw in the video, was called to the school, and he was told that, there was an incident involving his 15-year-old daughter, and he thought she, maybe been physically assaulted by a male, like beat up. But when he got there and learned from daughter that it wasn't just, it was rape. It wasn't just, she got punched or there was an altercation. And then the school, instead of, taking proper response, had to call in the cops for the dad's response. If you are a father, if you're a mother, it doesn't matter, and you get to school and are told that your daughter was just raped by the daughter, what's your reaction going to be? Dr.
I'd have gone as ballistic as that guy did, especially when they tried to cancel the whole meeting, when they were in denial mode, where they were actually kind of mocking not just the dad, but mocking anybody who had anything negative to say about this plan to put boys in women's locker rooms, girls' locker rooms.
And so then after that incident, of course, the school sent out an email saying that there was an incident that had happened that day at school, even though it was after school hours. And then, Smith is painted basically as a villain. The dad is painted as a villain and was told in the email, the parents were told that, students might have noticed that the sheriff's office personnel were there and that there was something out of the ordinary that had happened. But, the safety of our students and staff is top priority here at Loudoun. Okay, so we're starting to peel the layers. So there was a rape, and then dad went crazy, and then, students, we want to protect you. Okay, so if the safety is top priority, obviously the school staff, parents are going to know that they're at least on record. We won't know who and all that because of privacy, but on record, we know that a sexual assault happened at the school, right? I mean, right?
Well, security,
right? That's what should happen.
Security is not the highest concern for these people at all. Protecting the people, from little girls, from getting raped is obviously not their highest perspective because of what happened at the board of directors. What happened at the school board meeting, which was as follows, right? A sheriff's deputy ultimately declared the meeting an unlawful assembly because crowd was pushing back. They were trying to push back against this this transgender change. Just prior to Smith being arrested, the Loudoun County Public School Superintendent told attendees that who opposed the transgender bathroom policy that their concerns were, quote, unfounded, since the school district had no records of any assaults in bathrooms. And of course, they did. They just didn't report them.
So May 28th, the incident happens. The June 22nd board meeting, that happens. And then when we get statistics after the school year ends of, hey, were there any cases at all of sexual assault or any other things involving assault within the school system for the past school year, they put a big old 0. And that's a lie. And multiple lies. And then the Daily Wire is actually the one who uncovered all of this entire case. And so now Loudoun County School District is frantic. They're back on their heels. So the superintendent, Scott Ziegler, decided to release a press conference, or have a press conference and put a statement out. And it really is a slap in the face because he says, first, let me say to the families and students involved, my heart aches for you, and I am sorry that we failed to provide the safe, welcoming, and affirming environment that we aspire to provide. We acknowledge and share in your pain, and we will continue to offer support to help you and your families through this trauma. For all of our students, our school-based unified mental health teams are available to anyone who needs care.
It's like when you listen to him speak, it's like something happened, but nobody did it. There's some vague thing floating around that happened, and we're gosh darn sorry that it happened. And we're going to do everything we can to provide mental health, but we're not going to name the thing. And we're not going to blame anybody for the thing. And we're certainly not going to mention the role that this out-of-control LGBTQ advocacy is having on our schools. That is a bridge too far.
And we have plenty more from Mr. Ziegler when we come back. All right, before we move on to more about what is happening in Loudoun County, just a reminder that if you enjoy our content, please consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation literally keeps this show going. Simply visit patriotclub.us to get signed up. That's patriotclub.us. And as a special thank you, of course, we're going to ship you that brand new American Patriot tumbler that will have Mr. George Washington etched right on it. Now, back to what we were talking about. Loudoun County. A teenage girl, was raped in the bathroom. The school district did not report it. And now the Daily Wire uncovered it. And Loudoun County School is trying to
deny it.
Deny it and cover it up and smear. We call it in the business the spin. They're trying to spin it. And Scott Ziegler, the superintendent, had to issue a statement, have a press conference to, appear like he really cares about the students and their safety, because that's what they say. Not at all. And then we'll get to what is happening on the school board specifically, because we know how bad that school board has been forever and always. So according to Scott Ziegler's press release, he said, "I'm recommending that the Loudoun County School Board place this issue on our legislative agenda, and the board and its allied groups actively lobby for changes to allow more protections to victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault." Translation, Dr. Duke, more of the things about the transgender community, because that's what they've been doing at these school board meetings for months. That's what prompted into what happened at the June 22nd meeting when Scott Smith was arrested, because the lady who turned around was wearing her rainbow flag shirt and said basically that what your daughter said about this rape didn't really happen.
Yep.
And that's where we're at.
And here's where the victim's father, Scott Smith, here's actually what he said. Quote, that a boy allegedly wearing a skirt went into a girl's bathroom at a local high school where he sexually assaulted Smith's 9th grade daughter. Quote, juvenile records are sealed, but Smith's attorney, Elizabeth Lancaster, told the Daily Wire that the boy was charged with 2 counts of forcible sodomy, 1 count of anal sodomy, and 1 count of forcible fellatio related to an incident at school. It's an incident. I love that. It's just an incident. It's 3 incidents, and very, very, this is the kind of stuff that sends men who are 18 and over to jail for 50 years, right? All the school did is transfer him to another school where in a classroom he did it again to another girl.
Exactly. And so, rightfully so, the Smith family, is suing Loudoun County School District, as they should, because, hello. So according to their press release, they had said, subsequent to the sexual assault on our daughter, Loudoun County Public Schools formalized the policy regarding restroom use that was easily exploitable by a potential sexual assailant. Because of poor planning and misguided policies, Loudoun schools failed to institute even minimal safeguards to protect students from sexual assaults. If this boy was able to do this in a bathroom and a classroom, where else could it happen at that school?
Well, and they actually,
all the schools.
Even, I don't want to say this because it's not, but it almost seems like worse than the assaults were the cover-up, at least from an administrative perspective.
Well, and that's why, Mom and Dad, you really
That's
need to pay attention to this, because again, this is happening at Loudoun School, but it's happening across the nation because of all of the policies as outlined in this lawsuit that's about to happen here with the Smith family. This is happening because of all the policies that all these school districts are trying to put out, claiming safety for your children. It's safety. It's all about the children, and that we want to keep them safe. And it's inclusion and equity. And once that happens, you lose all safety for #MeToo. What happened to that movement? All the women are not being listened to.
There was actually a young girl who testified at one of these school boards. I don't think it was in Loudoun County, but she basically stood up in front of the school board and said, look, you're teaching boys erotica. You're having kids reading, particularly boys reading, sexualized fiction in their schools. And then you send them into girls' bathrooms.
Now boys are reading erotica in the classrooms next to girls, and you want to give them access to girls' locker rooms, and you want to force girls to call those boys she. You do this in the name of inclusivity while ignoring the girls who will pay the price. Your policies choose boys' wants over girls' needs.
You have sexualized the classroom. You have told children as young as 5 and 6 and 7-year-old now about their sexuality. You encourage them by the time they're in middle school to be sexual adventurous, to be curious, to begin sexual play. You're about all of that. You're being hypersexual with these kids, where we already know the hormones of boys at the age of 16 and 17 are, and then you allow them to wander into girls' bathrooms simply because one kid liked wearing a skirt. I mean, this is, you reap what you sow. You can blame that kid all you want, and certainly he should pay an adult price for what he did to those little girls. But please explain to me how the administration of both schools and the LGBTQ advocates who push this stuff are not equally to blame.
And we have plenty more coming up, specifically with what happened with the school board at Loudoun County. All right, so we've gone through what happened in the case, what the actual assault was in May 28th, and then the other school assault with the same boy at another school, and then with what happened with Loudoun County Schools releasing this statement because, oops, Daily Wire actually uncovered what has happened. And we know what happened with Dad and how he was kicked out of the school board meeting back in June. And we know that now the family is going to sue. But what about specifically Loudoun County School Board? Because they've been complicit in everything happening at that entire school district. Don't you worry. We've been told that, whoa, the school board actually didn't know this ever happened because either purposefully or is a way to cover it up, they don't let the school board know if an incident like this would ever happen. So this is just like policy how they do it. Now, as we've learned, the Loudoun County School District had said that they can't report this, Title IX and all that. But really, we learned that they needed to report it by state law. So they're trying to use federal law to cover up we don't have to report it. But then state law says, actually, you at least have to give us the count. And that's where they're in the wrong by saying they had a big old goose egg on sexual assaults. And they also said, well, our school board doesn't know about this information. We keep them separate. Don't you think the school board should know if this is happening in their schools that they're supposed to be representing?
The school board should know about it first. After the authorities, the police, school board should be put in charge of this immediately. But I know we're talking about the school board. I can't help but think about this, how enabling the school board was of this because of their policy. They're pushing this policy, and whatever you think you are has to be respected. So imagine you're this 15-year-old kid who allegedly perpetrated these rapes. You're being told that whatever you say you are, you are. So this kid was not transgendered, but he liked wearing a skirt. In other words, he realized, this little young man, that he realized that simply by putting a skirt on, he would be perceived as having all the rights of transgender people. And nobody stopped him because nobody dared to say to this kid, you're not who you say you are. Get back to your room. Put pants on. Get out of here. Nobody dared say that because nobody had the guts to stand up to one confused 15-year-old boy who thought that he could sneak into girls' bathrooms by playing the transgender card. Nobody could say a single thing to him. Not one teacher, not one custodian, not one administrator stood up to this lie. Because of that, you got little girls raped. That's how bad the LGBTQ mafia controls this garbage inside of your kids' schools.
And for so long, the entire Loudoun County School Board has been playing along with this and listening not to mom and dad who cares about their kids' education, which is what they're supposed to be in the school for. Instead, the entire school board has been all about their feelings, their social emotional learning. But thankfully, one of them will not be on that school board anymore because I don't know if she grew a heart or a conscience or something, but Beth Bartz has resigned from the Loudoun County School Board. Now, all of them, people have it out trying to get all of them recalled anyway and get kicked off, but she resigned.
Now, let's not pretend she's a hero. She's also the one who, a few months ago, was planning all those hit pieces on parents who were complaining, organizing teachers and citizen opposition to get people doxxed and canceled from their jobs for protesting. So I don't see her. She realizes before the other ones do, you better run away from this as fast as you can. Just want to emphasize one last thing here. The parents are talking about this, right? And the facts are, quote, the facts are that a male student claiming to be gender fluid was permitted to enter the girls' bathroom. That's all you have to say. I'm gender fluid. For the next 15 minutes, while I'm going to go into the bathroom and rape a little girl, I'm gender fluid. And so you're going to have to let me go. And not one of you, not one adult, could do anything about it.
So you alluded to is a Facebook group that they had at Loudoun County about the let's basically dox all the parents who just want their kids to be educated and are against this, critical race theory or vaccines and all that. Anyway, well, of course, naturally, where Beth Bartz goes to show her resignation is on her Facebook group called From Running to Resigning, a Pandemic, Politics, and More. Okay, Beth. She said in her release, we won't read the whole thing, but, she says it's not an easy decision or a decision made in haste. After much thought and careful consideration, it's the right decision for me and my family. While serving as the Leesburg representative on the Loudoun County School Board, I was afforded many deeply rewarding opportunities for which I am truly appreciative. She's grateful to have had a role in empowering students to achieve academic and personal success in supportive and, most importantly, inclusive school environments. And she's especially proud to have participated in helping steer the Loudoun County school system through the uncharted waters of educating students throughout a global pandemic. Though not an easy task, I remain committed to doing what was best for all of Loudoun County public school students and staff. She took office in 2020. So it's not like she's been on the school board for decades, really fighting for those kids. It's like, I'm here, and now there's a pandemic, and we're just sending everything down the toilet.
Yeah, she did everything she could for all the kids of Loudoun County except the one who got raped. Time now for some real education. Harrison Bergeron, the great short story by Kurt Vonnegut Jr., written in 1961. We're going to spend 5 days talking about this story. It's just a short story. I really urge you. This is something you can do at home. It's a short story. It's available online. You can read it for free. And it's a wonderful commentary as early as 1961 about where all this wokeness was going to take us. So I'm going to give you some quotes each day of this week from the story, and we're going to talk about the implications. Here's the opening lines of the story. The year was 2081, and everybody was finally equal. They weren't only equal before God and the law. They were equal every which way. Nobody was smarter than anybody else. Nobody was better looking than anybody else. No one was stronger or quicker than anybody else. All this equality was due to the 211th, 212th, and 213 amendments to the Constitution and to the unceasing vigilance of agents of the United States Handicapper General. That is a mouthful. You take that, leave that quote up there, Mike, so people can see it. This is really pretty staggering, right? So the story is set in America in 2081, by which time these 3 amendments to the Constitution have mandated by force of law equality. And what did they do? They started putting masks on women who are too pretty, holding weights down on people who were too athletic, right? If you were gifted with sports, you were a fast runner. In the case of this particular story, you were a talented ballet dancer. They would put weights on you to hold you down so you couldn't dance and jump and move like less talented people were. For a story that was written some 60 years ago, it is amazing how Vonnegut, like other men of his age, people like Orwell, who was older, of course, but Ken Kesey in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Brave New World, right? All these authors got it, that this move towards progressivism was going to be a move towards artificial equality. This is what we call, my friends, equity. As early as 1961, Kurt Vonnegut is calling out the equity movement, and we're going to look more at this wonderful short story each day this week.
All right, before we go, let's show some love to our Patriot Club members. And today, we are giving that special shout out to Paul from Spring Valley, California. Paul, all the way out there in Cali, thank you for supporting us.
And that's our show for Freedom Project. I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. Until next time, stay away from Loudoun County, Virginia, my friends.